It was a day of high tension at the Mar-a-Lago estate in sunny Florida. Here, President Donald Trump held a very important meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Many people around the world were watching because their talks were about very serious problems in the Middle East. After their private discussions, President Trump spoke to reporters. He sent very strong warnings to two groups, Iran and Hamas. President Trump spoke clearly and directly. He talked about Iran, saying that if they tried to build their nuclear program again, the United States would act with great force. He used strong words like promising to knock the hell out of them. This meant that any new steps by Iran to make nuclear weapons would have terrible results. He also gave a clear message to Hamas, a group in Gaza. He told them they must give up their weapons very quickly, just as they had promised in a recent peace agreement. If Hamas did not disarm, President Trump warned of very severe problems for them. The meeting showed that the situation was very dangerous. The peace in the region was not stable, and the future was unclear. This important talk happened after a very difficult time. Just a few weeks before, a fragile ceasefire had stopped a big war in Gaza, but this peace was weak, and many big problems were still present. Also, a devastating and secret war with Iran had just finished.
This war was not widely known, and many details about how the world reached this dangerous point were still hidden from most people. Now, a big and important question hung in the air. Prime Minister Netanyahu had come to Florida carrying new, secret information. What did he tell President Trump that made the American leader react with such explosive warnings and threats? 2. The big plan. Donald Trump put forward a bold vision for peace in the Middle East. It was a detailed 20-point plan made to finally end the long and painful conflict in Gaza. This ambitious plan was designed in two key stages. The first stage, known as Phase 1, brought a wave of relief and hope. Its main goals were straightforward: an immediate ceasefire, the release of all Israeli hostages held by Hamas, and a measured withdrawal of Israeli military forces from specific areas within Gaza. This initial phase proved remarkably successful. All 20 living hostages were safely returned by Hamas in October, bringing an end to a major part of the crisis. Israel also honored its commitments, releasing thousands of Palestinian prisoners as agreed. The plan even received strong international approval, with the United Nations Security Council voting to support it. However, the transition to Phase 2 quickly ran into serious trouble. This second stage aimed for much more difficult objectives. It demanded the complete disarmament of Hamas, meaning the group would give up all its weapons.
It also required Israeli forces to withdraw from even more parts of Gaza. To help maintain security, an international stabilization force was to be created. A central part of this phase was the formation of a Board of Peace, a powerful international body with President Donald Trump himself appointed to lead it. This board was intended to supervise Gaza's full reconstruction. The full extent of its authority and any secret tools it might have to ensure peace were only hinted at, suggesting deeper complexities yet to be revealed. The stark contrast between the initial success of Phase 1 and the dangerous stalemate of Phase 2 was clear. The peace plan, which had sparked so much optimism, now faced collapse. The core issue was Hamas's absolute refusal to disarm. The group stated firmly that it would not give up its arms as long as Israeli occupation continued. This defiance directly threatened the entire agreement. President Trump had issued strong warnings, saying if Hamas did not disarm, there would be severe consequences. He even suggested that other nations supporting the plan might act to wipe them out. With the peace plan teetering on the edge and Hamas unmoving, the world watched anxiously. Everyone wondered what extreme steps Donald Trump would now take to force Hamas to obey. 3. The Secret War. Months before, a dramatic and secret conflict took place. It was called the 12-Day War and happened in June 2025.
This war involved Israel, the United States, and Iran, and much of the world did not know its full story. The fighting began with Israel's Operation Rising Lion on June 13, 2025. Israeli warplanes launched many powerful air attacks. They hit Iran's secret nuclear facilities, important military sites, and key energy networks. Iran quickly fought back with Operation Honest Promise 3. They fired about 150 missiles and drones towards Israel. These attacks caused damage in Israeli cities and hurt some people. Over the next few days, Israel made 360 more attacks across 27 Iranian provinces. For a short time, Israeli military forces even controlled parts of Iranian airspace. The war changed greatly on June 22 when the United States joined the fight. This action was named Operation Midnight Hammer. American B-2 stealth bombers dropped 14 GBU-57AB bunker buster bombs. These special bombs targeted 3 of Iran's most important and deeply buried nuclear facilities: the Fordo uranium enrichment plant, the Natanz nuclear facility, and the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center. Missiles launched from submarines also hit other hidden parts of Iran's nuclear infrastructure that Israeli forces alone could not reach. In response, Iran attacked the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, but no American soldiers were injured there. On June 24, President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire. This stopped the intense 12-day conflict. The war caused about 1,100 Iranian deaths and 29 Israeli casualties. Many senior Iranian military leaders and nuclear scientists were killed, which greatly weakened Iran's knowledge and leadership in nuclear technology. After the war, President Trump stated that the U.S. strikes had obliterated Iran's nuclear program. He said these facilities were destroyed and would take years to rebuild. However, Rafael Mariano Grossi, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IEA, gave a different, more careful view. He believed Iran could restart uranium enrichment in just months, despite the heavy damage. This big difference in opinions was a serious concern for many. Could Iran really rebuild its nuclear program so quickly? Was it already working in secret to do so? And if they were they building it in new, harder-to-find places or using different methods? This terrifying possibility suggested Iran might be making its program impossible to stop this time, creating a new, unknown danger for the world. 4. The tense meeting. The meeting at Mar-a-Lago began with a show of strong friendship. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stood together, smiling for cameras. Netanyahu spoke warmly, telling everyone that President Trump was Israel's best friend. He said no other American leader had supported Israel so much. Then,
Prime Minister Netanyahu surprised President Trump with a special announcement. He said Trump would receive the Israel Prize for Peace. This was Israel's highest civilian honor, and it was the first time it would be given to someone not from Israel. President Trump looked pleased and thanked Netanyahu for the special award. This public display showed their close bond. However, under these friendly words, a quiet tension filled the room. The two leaders moved to their private talks where serious matters were discussed. One big point of disagreement was about Israeli settlements in the West Bank. This issue had been debated for a long time. President Trump openly said that he and Netanyahu did not completely agree on the West Bank. This topic was difficult and could create problems for their alliance later. Despite their different views, they kept talking, trying to find common ground for this important part of the peace plan. The air in the room remained charged with unspoken concerns. The meeting quickly became very serious when Prime Minister Netanyahu presented new secret intelligence. He showed President Trump information about Iran's recent actions. The intelligence suggested that Iran was actively trying to rebuild its nuclear program. Also, it showed they might be making more powerful ballistic missiles. What was most alarming was that Iran was doing this in different, hidden places, not the ones hit during the short war months earlier. This new information made the situation much more dangerous. A heavy silence fell over the room as the weight of the news settled. President Trump listened with a serious face. The new intelligence was so alarming that it demanded a quick and strong response. Trump made a decisive promise of military action. He stated clearly that if Iran continued to build missiles, he would support Israel in taking action. But for Iran's nuclear program, his words were even stronger. He said the United States would act immediately. This was a direct and powerful threat. The expressions on both leaders' faces showed the great importance of this decision. But what exactly did the secret intelligence reveal that made President Trump promise such fast and forceful action? 5. A world on edge. After the meeting in Florida, the world felt a strong shock. Many countries reacted to President Donald Trump's warnings. Nations close to Iran in the Gulf region watched with mixed feelings. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar felt safer because America was strong, but they also worried that war might spread. They did not want to be part of any new fighting. During an earlier conflict, a base in Qatar was hit. This showed that war could easily touch many parts of the region. The European Union also showed concern. Leaders there, like President Ursula von der Leyen, said Iran must never get a nuclear bomb. However, they did not openly support military attacks. European countries feared a wider conflict. Such a war could cause more people to leave their homes and seek safety in Europe. It could also threaten their supply of oil and gas. Inside Iran, leaders gave a fast and strong answer to President Trump's words. Ali Shamkhani, a key advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, sent a clear warning. He said that any aggression on Iran would be met with a very strong and quick response. He stated this response would be bigger than what the attacker might expect. This message made it clear that the current peace was very shaky. A new war could start at any time. President Trump spoke about Saudi Arabia and peace with Israel. He said Saudi Arabia was very close to joining the Abraham Accords. This would mean Saudi Arabia would make peace with Israel. Trump felt that Saudi Arabia had done everything America asked. But Saudi officials had one main condition. They wanted to see progress for the Palestinian people. They said peace with Israel would only happen if the Palestinians got their own state. This goal seemed very far away right now. It was a secret obstacle that could stop peace in the whole region. This condition made the path to a full regional peace deal much harder. The world watched as tension grew after the meeting. The strong warning from the Iranian official made the danger even greater. It felt like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the next move. The entire world was now on the edge, unsure if peace could last. 6. Trouble at home. Back home, President Donald Trump faced his own problems. The American people had little desire for another war. Most citizens were tired of fighting far away. Polls showed low support for new military action. Some important figures criticized more involvement. This made strong action abroad risky for President Trump at home. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in a difficult spot. He faced serious legal accusations, called corruption charges. These suggested he used power for personal gain. Many Israelis felt unsure about their leader. Some thought he was not doing enough for hostages, others too slow with the Gaza peace plan. His job was very hard. He needed strong international friends. President Donald Trump, the current president of the U.S., made a surprising public suggestion. He said Israel's president should pardon Netanyahu. A pardon would drop all charges. Trump called the accusations small, like cigars and champagne. This made many wonder. It seemed to show an unspoken understanding between the two leaders. It looked like a you-scratch-my-back deal for political help. Meanwhile, in Iran, President Masoud Pezeshkian and his government struggled. The country's economy was collapsing. Iranian money, the rial, quickly lost its value. Shop owners protested in Tehran. People were unhappy and losing faith.
President Pezeshkian won his election with the lowest number of votes ever, showing widespread public doubt. These deep problems at home made each leader's choices very hard. Their political survival was on the line, making their next steps unpredictable. Would they choose a careful path, or would they take a big risk? A credible rumor started to spread. It said one of these three leaders was planning a desperate action. This leader, it was whispered, might even start a new, dangerous war. They would do this just to hold on to their own power. 7. 3 paths to follow. The Middle East stood at a critical point. Many people wondered what would happen next, as events could lead in very different directions. There were 3 main paths the region could follow. The first path was the path of war. This was the most dangerous choice. If Hamas continued to refuse to give up its weapons, as President Trump demanded, Israel would likely take strong action. Trump had clearly warned that if Hamas did not disarm, there would be hell to pay. At the same time, if intelligence showed Iran was trying to rebuild its nuclear program or make more powerful missiles, new military strikes by America or Israel could happen. Trump had said America would act immediately against a nuclear program. This path meant a new, possibly bigger conflict that would cause much suffering and destruction. The second path was the path of diplomacy. This path offered hope for a peaceful solution.
Different countries were working hard as mediators. Countries like Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey were pressing for talks to find a way forward. They wanted a negotiated solution for Hamas to disarm. These mediators hoped for a last-minute agreement that could stop the region from falling into another war. This path required leaders to be flexible, listen to each other, and build trust, even when it was very hard. Success on this path could prevent a huge disaster. The third path was the path of stalemate. This path meant no full peace, but also no immediate large-scale war. Instead, the region would stay in a tense, frozen conflict. Hamas would keep its weapons, and Israel would remain on high alert. Iran might continue secret work on its nuclear aims, creating constant worry. The current ceasefire would be very fragile, with small fights and accusations between sides. People would live with daily fear, knowing that the situation could explode into full war at any moment. This path was a long and dangerous waiting game. However, there was also a fourth, secret possibility emerging. Behind the public disagreements, a quiet back channel had opened. Two groups that were sworn enemies had started to communicate in secret. This hidden talk was very risky and known by only a few key people. It was this secret connection that provided the Board of Peace, which President Trump chaired, with its special leverage to push for solutions.
This board needed a way to move beyond the public problems, and this secret dialogue was key. This new secret communication offered a small, fragile glimmer of hope for peace. But could these old enemies truly learn to trust each other enough to stop a catastrophic war? Their history was full of conflict and mistrust. The future of the Middle East, and perhaps much of the world, now depended on this deeply uncertain question. Chapter 8. The Final Choice. Chapter 8 brings us to the critical point, the final choice. The serious meeting at Mar-a-Lago showed how much was at risk for the Middle East. The future of this important region now depends on the actions of a few key individuals. President Donald Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the leaders of Hamas and Iran must all decide what comes next. President Trump has always believed in peace through strength. This idea suggests that being militarily strong helps to make and keep peace. However, the Middle East has very old and deep conflicts. These problems have lasted for many decades, making real solutions difficult. Now, the world is at a crossroads. Will it return to old cycles of violence, like the recent 12-day war with Iran? Or can it bravely find a new, unknown path toward lasting peace? Trump's warnings to Iran were clear. Do not try to rebuild your nuclear program or make more missiles. He also told Hamas that it must disarm, as agreed in the peace plan.
If Hamas does not give up its weapons, there will be serious trouble. The second phase of the Gaza ceasefire, which aimed for Hamas's disarmament and Gaza's reconstruction, is still incomplete. This refusal from Hamas puts the whole peace plan in danger. Prime Minister Netanyahu's new intelligence about Iran potentially rebuilding its nuclear program made the situation even more urgent. This new information pushed Trump to promise quick military action if needed. The world hears many loud warnings of war. People talk about possible attacks and harsh responses. But the work of building real peace is often quiet. It asks for great courage from all sides involved. It means putting aside old angers and finding new ways to live together. The final choice has not been made, and the outcome is still unknown. Everyone waits to see if leaders will choose a new path or if history will repeat itself. What actions do you believe would show true courage in finding peace in this situation?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.